So this is our off-grid air conditioner. I purchased this as a Midea 10,000 BTU air conditioner window unit. And it has the, you can see it has a little notch here where most of the air conditioner is actually outside, and the window closes almost all the way down around it. So it's very efficient for airflow. It's very quiet. And this particular unit is what they call an inverter air conditioner. So it actually requires about half of the power of a comparable 10,000 BTU air conditioner. This one only burns about 400 watts per hour, where most 10,000s burn closer to 1,000 watts or 1,100, even 1,200 watts per hour. So this is a very efficient air conditioner that I can use here at our off-grid cabin with a limited solar setup. Now, it won't run, you know, after dark for more than maybe 3 hours or so with my system because of my battery storage. I could upgrade my battery storage and probably make it work with the amount of panels that I have out there, but I haven't found that to be economical at this point. I can still run a generator at night to run the air conditioner if I needed to run it all night, but I usually don't have to run it all night because usually I can crank this thing up during the day, even in ambient light, and turn it on low, and it'll cool this cabin down, which I have insulated extremely well. It'll cool this cabin down, you know, into the 60s, 68 even during the day, even when it's 95 or 100 degrees outside. And then by the evening, which you have a long day, you know, in the summertime, so you can run it from 5:30 in the morning till 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. Sometimes you have a long day, and it'll keep it cool enough overnight that you can turn it off and just use box fans in the evening to keep, you know, to keep it cooled down. And then you wake up the next morning and it's still only like, you know, 72 degrees in the cabin when it's 90 outside. So it's a good option for off-grid cooling. To do it that way with backup generator, in the most extreme situations you can still use the backup generator. So there's an option for you for off-grid cooling. You know, talking about cooling, off-grid cooling, my grandfather grew up in this area, and he told me the stories when I was a kid, how they used to keep cool in the summertime. Now, they did have electric, but they didn't have much electric. They had little tiny open fans, and they would actually go, you know, basically go buy a block of ice from the ice house, which the ice was, in a lot of cases, cut out of the river in the wintertime in blocks and put in an underground storage with sawdust or straw into an ice house, and then people would go and buy ice throughout the year. So they'd buy a block of ice and put it in a pan, you know, on the floor of the table and blow the fan across it, which is basically what today they would call a swamp cooler, what they did back then to keep cool on the warmest days. So there's the old ice house. See it there behind this building right here? This building right here was the ice store. And that building in the back, that little round building with the big cupola on top of it, was the actual ice house. Most of that is underground to keep the ice frozen all summer long. You know, they packed it in sawdust and straw and things like that. And they would actually go out on the river, which is not very far behind this. They would go out on the river in the wintertime and cut the blocks of ice to keep for the summertime. We're talking about the early 1900s here, you know, when my grandfather was a child. He was born in 1909, and you know, this ice house has been active since not too much, probably I'm not exactly sure, but at least from that time, if not a little bit earlier. It just has a tin roof on it, and that's how they used to get their ice to keep cool in the summertime. So as far as, you know, off-grid cooling goes, and even heating for that matter, the key to it, to successful cooling and successful heating off-grid, is to start with insulation, high quality insulation, and more insulation than you need. In this cabin, all the walls are 2x6 walls with R21 insulation in it. The floor has R19, and the ceiling is, instead of, you know, I could have got away with 2x6 rafters, I put 2x10 rafters in so I could get R38 in the ceiling, and of course all the exterior penetrations are foamed. So with good insulation, once you get the cabin warmed up, it stays warm. Once you get the cabin cooled down, it stays cool. So remember that when you're thinking about off-grid cooling or heating for that matter. You know, I looked into a lot of different ways to do cooling off-grid, you know, from swamp coolers to some type of geothermal air system, circulated air systems, to would I just use a generator, you know, in the different ways. And I really didn't like a lot of those ways. Where I'm at, it's humid, the water table's real high, so, you know, the geothermal's probably not a good, option for me. And running a generator all the time is not a good option for me. So I got this system that I've been explaining here. So, you know, we're talking a little bit about how my grandfather used to cool their houses in the summertime with a block of ice. You know, they also, back in the day, my grandmother used to tell us stories about, you know, when they got ice out of the river, they loved it as kids, and they would get this ice out of the river, you know, to cool their houses, but they would also shave the ice down and mix it with their homemade jams and homemade jellies. And basically that was the initial Rita's frozen ice is what it was. So again, thank you for watching, and have a blessed day.